This is going to be a little more of a serious video compared to the other ones I have been making recently. Just kind of older types of content. And that's basically just to share where I'm at today, this moment. And, to say that, there's so many things I want to say and I don't know where to begin. That life can be really challenging, and often I think people forget that when you emanate so much growth and positivity, that those hidden aspects of yourself that you previously suffered with are, I guess, just in the backdrop, or they no longer exist. And that's not always the case, because being positive and healing and growth takes so much effort, and people often forget that. Just because someone's seemingly doing okay doesn't mean they're not exerting all of this energy to be able to do that. And sometimes when you do exert all of that energy, it depletes you and you seemingly end up back at what seems to be square one, because you've been pushing yourself so hard to progress. But basically, I just want to say that if you feel like you fall backwards into old patterns, if you feel like you're not being your fullest self, or if you feel unseen and alone, that it's temporary and life will always have its highs and lows. And for those of you who are following me on social media, sometimes I make stories on there that I reveal myself pretty vulnerably on them sometimes. And just last night I did so. And this video, I suppose, is inspired by the vulnerability I shared, which was that it's really hard to talk about. I ended up relapsing, which is something I never thought I would admit to. And I never thought in a million years during my pregnancy that would happen. And when I mean relapse, I mean self-harm. I don't mean like drugs or anything. But relapse, as you know, comes in many colors. And whatever form you find yourself in, it's all relatively the same, and it all takes the same amount of forgiveness, no matter what type of relapse it's considered to be. And it's really, like I said, really difficult to express these types of things, because I kind of want to just read you the post just so you can get a gist of where I'm trying to get at, because sometimes my words aren't enough. Also, say hi to the baby. This is little baby, 28 weeks and counting. my post said, I was reposting a quote, and then I had a caption underneath, and it says, "Gentle reminder, just because you've relapsed or taken steps backwards recently doesn't mean it's all for naught. Please try your best to keep going and remember that it's going to be okay." And so what I was trying to get at before I read this was this part. We all need gentle reminders. Relapse is something not often talked about because it's triggering, it's embarrassing, it's seemingly a sign of weakness in our own minds, but it is very real. And it can be painful and isolating because of the shame and guilt associated with it. I have been here many times, and each time I promised myself it wouldn't happen again, but here I am after months of hard work. Here I am to say that we all fall, we all have our deepest shadows that no one else will ever understand, but that doesn't mean we can't acknowledge and support one another through these times of what seems to be failure. Please keep going. I see you, I forgive you, and I love you. So that's what I ended up sharing, and the premise of this video was basically to say that if you find yourself in this scenario of being stuck, or even to the extent of relapsing into old habits and patterns that you want to stop, it's okay that that happened. And the only way to get through is to completely just forgive yourself for that, and to remind yourself that those things take time and patience and gentleness, because we have to treat ourselves like little kids, little children who make mistakes, and although these mistakes feel drastically larger because it's seemingly so destructive to our beings, we still have to remind ourselves that there's a little broken kid inside who just needs to be told that they're loved and they're supported and that they're not a failure. And just because you momentarily found yourself in a down spiral does not mean that there's no opportunity to get back up. And it does not mean we're unlovable, and that we can't achieve this goal that we've set for ourselves. And obviously, I really hope that me opening up and being vulnerable about this doesn't create negativity towards this video, especially because my relapse is during my pregnancy, which is pretty embarrassing. And like I said, I had promised myself that that would never happen during these 9 months. And even yesterday, I had just gotten off the phone with my therapist, and we talked about how I've been doing so good. And I told him that pregnancy has just shifted my perspective and I don't want to do those things anymore. And then that night, I was caught, and there I was. And it's a lesson for ourselves to constantly recycle this gentleness, and to remind ourselves that we will get better, it will be okay, and that you are loved no matter where you are and what you do to yourself. There's a lot I want to say, but I feel like that's enough for now. And I hope that this helped someone, even just one person. I see you, I love you, and I forgive you. And I hope you can do the same for me.